Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Ms. Kelleher, in your opening statement, you made some comments regarding my bill, the Historic Roadways Protection Act, saying that this bill would, quote, minimize recreational opportunities. What do you mean by this?
Well, part of what we're trying to do when we do travel management planning and in general is to consider the recreation activities that people want to do out there, whether that's full-size vehicles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, bicycles, e-bikes, horses, hiking, all those uses.
I get it.
So the TMP is really important for us to figure out where those uses should go, where we may want to add access, where access may conflict with existing resources, where there's user conflicts that we might need to separate, and that's the TMP is the tool we use to do all those things.
I understand that. I understand that, but we've got a state that owns 13,000 RS-2477 rights-of-way. When we're shut out as a result of those TMPs, that's a problem. Now, I've gotten 800 comments, most of which are from recreators. They all would beg to differ with your suggestion there that it would minimize recreational opportunities. Quite to the contrary. And I'd just like to use this as an opportunity to register my complaint. This is part of the frustration that we as Utahns feel when 67% of our state is owned by the federal government. The largest chunk of that is managed by the Bureau of Land Management. We become subjects. We become pawns to the Bureau of Land Management as it decides what is and isn't going to happen. Ingress and egress becomes impossible. Access to recreational opportunities, sometimes to a workplace or a home site, becomes difficult or impossible as a result of that. And to hear you come in today and say that it would minimize recreational opportunities to do something that is itself necessary, absolutely essential to maintaining recreational opportunities is difficult for me. That's difficult for me to hear. Ms. Davis, let's turn to you. I appreciate your testimony today. Can you tell us what you think about whether it would minimize recreational opportunities?
I think a good example would be the recent closure of the roads in the Labyrinth Gemini Bridges TMP. Many of these roads closed in that process were exceptionally well used by the motorized recreation community. And
but you would share my frustration with Ms. Kelleher's statement?
I absolutely would,
okay.
Yes.
Now, can you explain the historical significance of RS-2477 and the impact that these roads have throughout Utah's history, the impact that they've had and continue to have today on the development and the connectivity, especially within our rural communities?
Sure. Our tourism, agricultural, mining, and recreation economies exist because of the road network made possible by RS-2477. Throughout the early 20th century, Utahns eked out a meager living homesteading, prospecting, and grazing livestock, building roads along the way, and many of their descendants have continued these customs and lifestyle. But today they're joined by people from all over the world who come to Utah and use these same roads to experience these wonderful landscapes. The importance of these roads to our culture and economy can't be overstated.
Right. And without them, our state could never have been settled the way that it was. The roads would never have been built, but for the promise that if they built them, there would be ownership on the part of those involved in it, and they're jointly owned by the counties and by the state.
That's correct.
And so without those, we become this landlocked mess. Now, in your testimony, you mentioned that nearly 13,000 RS-2477 roads were established in Utah. How do these roads currently serve Utah's communities, and what would be the consequences if they were closed without proper adjudication?
These roads serve our communities and economies in a lot of different ways. Some of them are on people's daily commutes. Some of them are on rural school bus routes. Many of them provide hunting, fishing, and other recreational access.
And yet, because of the fact that we don't have a clear path, there's nothing in FLIPMA or in the original RS-2477 that provides for an effective means by which we can adjudicate them and have them, have these settled. Tell us a little bit about the legal and practical challenges that we face litigating the RS 2477 claims?
Cost is a major one. This is arguably the most expansive and expensive litigation in our state. Maintaining 22 complex lawsuits for 12-plus years is immense. And the time and delays are an issue for us, too, because our witnesses are aging. We've had many potential witnesses pass away prior to our ability to take their testimony
Right.
on these roads.
I sometimes wonder whether that's part of the plan, whether that's a part of the, perhaps a feature, not a bug. It really is distressing. Look, in a lot of our states in the Midwest were once mostly owned by the federal government. Eventually, those lands were sold, but in every state to the west of Colorado, we didn't have a large scale disposal of those lands. I think that's a problem, and it's a problem for economic development and everything, but even if we changed nothing else, if they take away these lands, we can't even use what's ours. We can't even access what's ours. And you can't do your job as an assistant attorney general for the state of Utah.
It makes it exceedingly difficult, yes.
We need to get this thing passed. Thank you.
Thank you.